Mushoku Tensei episode 23. Is it raining today? No season 2 announcement, why? And so the journey comes to an end. Is this your anime of the year? So go ahead and smash that like, just like how Eris smashed Rudy's mind and heart. What did the anime skip? And a quick thank you to this week's sponsor, Boxu. So here's a perfect way for you to enjoy your favorite anime by munching down on some delicious Japanese snacks. Boxu gives you a chance to try new Japanese snacks each month. Some are sweet, some are savory, some are salty. You may even find that one you just can't get enough of. And since the holidays are coming up really fast, Boxu does make this perfect gift for anyone that loves Japanese snacks and culture, especially during these times where it hasn't been easy to travel. But wait, there's more. Not only are you gifting them Boxu, you're also gifting them the chance to win free tickets to come visit Japan. Boxu is having this kick-ass giveaway. They're picking one lucky winner to win a free set of tickets. All you gotta do is be subscribed to Boxu by the end of this year to be automatically entered. So go ahead, definitely don't wait. Go ahead and enjoy these monthly like I do. You can save 10% by using my code. Just go ahead and click the link in the description so you can check out the terms and conditions and other method of entry. Good morning, Eris. You can see she still has that mage cat coat. Rudy bought her that one, she loves it. So let's just get into it. I was really sad to see that the anime completely skipped Eris's meaty, thick point of view. So why did Eris leave Rudy? Here's the in-depth, quick rundown. Eris thought of herself as an adult, that Rudy had given her the present she wanted for her 15th birthday. She loved Rudy, and the time she started realizing her feelings was on his 10th birthday. She thought back to her mother, her suddenly waking her up. She got dressed up in that red gown, and her mother even told her to go to Rudy and surrender her body over to him. Eris herself wasn't against doing it with him, but she was confused. She wasn't prepared for it back then. She thought eventually getting down and dirty would have been more in the future. She thought that Rudy perhaps didn't actually love her. Perhaps Rudy was only doing this because Eris's father told him to do it. Eris always thought that Rudy was this amazing person. He knew everything, he could do anything, but that didn't stop him from continuously trying to learn. Like a certain big fella, Rudy just kept on moving forward. Eris herself was really just worried she was being made into this reward for him. That when she realized she wasn't okay with that, she shoved him away and ran away. She recalled Rudy being interested in her body ever since they first met. You may recall Rudy filling up her skirt and even going further. Eris thought back to when she attended school. Before Rudy, she would always punch the boys who made fun of her, and then those guys would back off. On the flip side, that approach didn't work for Rudy. That's when Eris felt with every fiber of her being that what her mother said about Rudy being the one was right. Eris ultimately gave in. Who cares if she was just this reward? At least they could be together. You might recall Eris telling Rudy to wait until he was older. She thought that Rudy was that much of an adult to wait for her. That was when she started falling in love with him. Getting into events post-displacement incident, Eris was really just gushing over how he handled the super situation. That Rudy was so awesome, he was so courageous, she had fallen in love all over again. Interestingly, Eris did bring up the fact that Rudy wasn't eating much over there on the Demon Continent, that he was trying to hide the fact that he wasn't feeling well physically. Originally I thought there was more to it, but no, for us we just know that Rudy just didn't like the food. Naturally Eris would have been oblivious to why. Eris continued praising Rudy, that despite herself being a handful, Rudy never got angry, he always stayed with her. So what a gentleman! Rudy would stroke her hair, wrap his arms around her, in general comfort her, but at those times Eris thought that he never crossed a boundary, that normally it was so obvious that Rudy was turned on by her. But during those special moments, he never touched her more than was necessary. Out of context, this really just sounds like stage 1 of Stockholm Syndrome. But getting seriously, Eris wanted to become stronger, at the very least strong enough not to become this burden on Rudy. She couldn't compare it to Rudyard, but Rudy didn't stand a chance in the sword fight. Although naturally she couldn't beat Rudy when using magic. And Eris didn't hold back, she really was beating herself up about this. She thought that the party would actually have an easier time traveling if it was only the two of them. This whole thought made her want to cry. Eris was worried that Rudy would eventually realize that Eris was holding her back, that Rudy would leave her behind. So she desperately worked to get stronger. Kind of ironic how the opposite just happened. This is the reason she asked Rudyard to train her. Rudyard was strong, perhaps stronger than Ghislaine. Throughout their years of training, when Rudy actually fell asleep being exhausted, Rudyard and Eris would secretly train in the middle of the night. No complaints. This continued for about a year after they started their journey. Eris finally thought she was stronger, that through her training with Rudyard, she finally understood the meaning of Ghislaine's words. This ultimately led to Eris finally being able to defeat Ruijerd. Thanks, Roxy. Eris was just happy she finally was able to land a hit on him. That she wouldn't be holding Rudy back anymore, she would be able to walk beside him. And then like a day later, Rudy beat her ass down. After all that effort, Eris lost in this physical matchup with no magic. She thought it was like cheating, that Rudy suddenly leapfrogged past her year of work. Eris felt she was as much as a hindrance as ever. She cried in secret. Thankfully, good guy Ruijerd told her not to worry about it. Rudy was just very compatible with that demon eye. He told her that if she continued to train, she would get stronger. She actually had the talent. But what talent? Eris just deeply denied this, that Ghislaine and Ruijerd were just lying to her. She really was putting Rudy on this pedestal. The guy looked so large and amazing to her. Eris initially wanted to catch up to Rudy, but at some point she figured it was useless and gave up. Things then suddenly changed with the Goblin Slayer situation. I'm now craving that episode even more. Eris finally got this taste of her own talent. She not only fought against those assassins, she completely obliterated them. She finally realized that at some point she did actually grow. Eris then went on to recall their recent castle adventure. That Rudy was so incredible. He managed to befriend this third prince and save his family in a day. While on the flip side, the only thing she could do was go on a rampage with Ruijerd. Naturally, she was in the dark about the man god, plus it kinda just being dumb luck. Eris then turned to their latest encounter with the dragon god. For Eris's point of view, she just saw them being scared, while on the other hand, Rudy was completely unaffected. And it went further, Rudy managed to actually wound the dragon god, someone that beat Ruijerd down completely. Of course, the whole result from this was Rudy getting fatally injured and dying. Eris previously thought that one of them dying was impossible. Someone so strong like Rudy couldn't die. And as long as Rudy was protecting Eris, she couldn't die either. And in the worst case scenario, of course, they have their big demon bodyguard. But that day, Eris was proven horribly wrong. With Rudy being a dead man, once again she felt powerless. She was scared. That whole incident renewed her fear about being a burden. On the other hand, Rudy came out of this with flying colors. He became godlike. That even though he had almost been killed, he just brushed it off. It was only 3 days after almost dying that Rudy had been preparing to meet up with the dragon god again. Eris couldn't understand that. She couldn't. She was so scared. She just wanted to stay by his side. That if she didn't stay by him, Rudy would disappear and leave her behind. Turning over to Ruijerd right before he left, Ruijerd did remind Eris about the technique the dragon god had used. That there was this method behind it. The dragon god wasn't his monster, but a manster. In other words, it was possible to learn that technique. Anyway, post getting back home, Eris had confirmed her suspicion. After suffering all those years, everything had disappeared. Ghislaine and the butler were there, but they felt distant, almost like different people. The only person she had left in the world was Rudy. Eris felt impatient. She wanted them to become a family. She feared that Rudy right away would take off to search for his family and leave her behind, which is why she decided to use her body to keep him there. Rudy hesitated. She was worried he wouldn't accept her. That Rudy had never peeked on Eris while bathing. To which I'm just thinking, wait, what? Rudy, your skills have improved if she didn't notice. But thankfully, Rudy was turned on by Eris. Seeing the guy super excited also turned her on too. So they connected. She did like never before. A little strange at first. You know, like your first time at being awkward. While in comparison, Rudy being the guy was enjoying it from the very beginning. Yet Eris noticed that part way, Rudy grew weak and feeble, almost as if he might break. Oh, and do enjoy this Eris commentary, that Rudy was quite robust down there. In the end, Eris really didn't feel terribly happy about the whole situation. She used the excuse of being anxious and losing her family to force herself on him. She felt she treated him poorly based on her own wishes. And then we get to the part about her loving Rudy, which some of it made it into the anime. She felt she was not fit to be with Rudy. She would only be a burden to him. That they had become family, but they wouldn't be able to become more than that. They couldn't be husband and wife. If they were together, Eris would always be holding him back, which is ultimately why Eris decided to leave. It'd be better if they spent time apart. She felt that as long as she was with him, she would be taking advantage of his kindness. And you should notice how Eris did enjoy that. That sweet sensation of the night still lingered in her body. This perhaps being this trait of the Grey Rat family. So she decided she needed to get stronger. She would separate from Rudy and keep on training. She would keep on doing so until she could stand side by side with him. Further skipped in the anime, she was following Ghislaine's recommendation. They were heading over to the Sword Sanctum. There she would train to become this powerful swordswoman. Of course, the oddity wasn't lost on Eris, that the traditional pairing was reversed. She would be the swordswoman, and Rudy, the guy, being the magician. After that, they would be able to take their next step in becoming the family, the husband and wife. They could have kids and live happily ever after. But how should I tell him goodbye? Which ultimately led to her leaving that note. Surely, Rudy would understand. Simple message. And I guess Rudy's partly to blame since he was her tutor in writing. Talking about the poor fella, here's a Rudy update after getting his heart ripped out. That he spent a whole week sitting around doing nothing. Sounds like me earlier this year. Originally, he was helping out, like using his earth magic to make this wall at the camp for the flashback time. Surprise, surprise. I actually love this, the anime bringing back a little bit of the skipped Rudy backstory. You saw Rudy sticking out, which is really that single moment that led him down this dark path. Which, by the way, did anime Rudy get less of a pounding? Although it still ended up with this thick ass tied up. Those are some strong cables. For something that I do believe is newly added for the anime, I couldn't find it earlier in the light novel, this about his parents being ultra concerned about Rudy. In the anime, you could clearly see that they loved him, they cared for him, and you even have that new touching letter from the mother. While reading this, I always got this comparison to ReZero and Subaru's situation. If you recall from my ReZero Season 2 videos, I really wasn't much of a fan of how that whole Subaru situation played out. Which is why I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that Mushoku for Rudy did this better, and even more so in the anime now. As for Alphonse the butler dude, that anime scene got vastly expanded on. For example, you do have anime Rudy getting more of this push in some direction. I like this. For something skipped for Rudy, he was deeply thinking about why Eris left. Could he have been bad in bed? Oh my god, I was done in like 10 seconds. Don't worry Rudy, we've all been there. But no, ultimately he decided that she just didn't care for him and left. Eris must have hated being followed around by him that caused all these failures for 2 years. That she must have taken pity on him, fulfilling her promise early and then saying sayonara. She hid it and quit it. For that new anime scene, you do see Eris traveling with Ghislaine. Borderline new, the light novel doesn't touch on them till way later. Talking about later, you do have that new scene with Rudyard. I did really love seeing Rudyard becoming popular even to the Millis people, using the super name. Just gotta go ahead and shave those eyebrows, buddy. Getting into a rapid succession of new anime scenes. You got that Zonaba scene, him with that Roxy figure. It feels like this is really similar to how the previous episode ended with him. You got an update on good guy Geese, thinking about his Rudy boss. You can see the guys in the desert, likely already made it to the new continent. You got an anime update to the Great Forest, them training plus the focus on the figures. What I was a little bit more surprised about was the past Demon Kids years later. You got Daredevil and Machamp. They actually got strong enough to make it over to the ocean. And then for a Grey Rat family update, a new anime scene with the family back together. Okay, so was that just me? Or did it feel like including this stuff was like wrapping up the Mushoku anime? And I'm not talking about ending the season, but a potential closure to everything. It's likely Mushoku Season 2 is gonna happen, but it wasn't confirmed at the end of this. So sad. Anyway, getting over to Roxy meeting up the Demon Emperor girl. I was really looking forward to this. And then it got soft when I saw this got heavily abridged for the anime. First off, some fun Roxy info. Roxy didn't like the bitter sake, but she could really drink this sweet liquor all day, forever. For Ilanese, she had actually already disappeared into the night with some guy. She was working it. In the anime, you actually did see her on the ground helping herself to some man meat. Finders keepers. Then for Kishirika versus the dwarf. During their binging, she did subtly mention she had already lived 300 years. Reminds me of me drinking in my uni days. How much did they drink? In the light novel, she actually announced number 40, which really scares a lightweight like me living in Japan. Right here, it's like 2 drinks and everyone is done. Meanwhile for Tallhand, he said he once dreamed of drowning to death in alcohol. Apparently that truly would be an honorable death. For an anime change or anime skip, originally this pub ran out of booze, so Roxy actually volunteered some cash for them to restock. Which by the way, the bear bro wasn't at all happy in the light novel. For something else fun skipped, you did have this hangover cure spell. The next day Roxy used it as a full resort to recover. Getting over to the fun Demon Loli. You did get some info dropped here about her, that this great emperor was famous for giving people demon eyes. It was specifically due to that power that she was called an emperor rather than a king. That with this ability, she had actually gotten the military strength to launch the Great Human Demon War. As for getting some status update, you did find out where Rudy's mother is at, on the Begarak continent. In other words, teasing future events. Come on, Season 2. The anime skipped the following. Kishirika did notice something was odd. She couldn't quite see that Rudy's mother might be in the middle of a labyrinth, although she had never been there, so she couldn't say 100%. For another juicy anime skip, the anime didn't give you an update for Roxy and their party's travel plans. From their location, it would actually take them a year to head back to the Millis continent. I'm just kissing my phone right now. This is where Kishirika and her Demon King interrupted. Whoopsie, turns out that Eula actually slept with someone's fiancé. But don't you worry, this whole situation was just a familiar Wailord and Skitty situation. Kishirika gave them the okay. Anyway, skipping forward a little bit, ultimately Roxy's party split into two. Roxy and the dwarf would head back to the Millis capital, while the blonde and the Demon King would head over to find Rudy. Kishirika unfortunately could not leave the Demon continent. Perhaps it was something like a curse. Switching over to that new anime scene, Zenny scene. It felt like this was taking inspiration from a point of view the anime skipped. Like a tad. In the light novel, the conclusion for this was her thanking Rudy for being born. So let me actually take a moment to really appreciate how the anime handled this. In the Mushoku light novel, it was short and quick, like, oh yeah, my mother, better go do that. On the flip side for the Mushoku anime, it actually ended stronger, perhaps on a more hopeful note for Rudy. That stronger connection to the mother, both of them helped. You ultimately have season 1 ending with the theme of Mushoku, saying farewell with that message of changing oneself, achieved, being able to move forward. If you do want to read ahead, I highly suggest it. The next light novel is Light Novel 7. You could go ahead and find it over on Bookwalker, use my code FOXN to get a $5 discount. Let's buy the books, let's buy the Roxy figure, I don't care where you get it. Let's just fund season 2. But let's not forget the post-credit. So who is this white-haired dude? I guess let me keep quiet about it and not spoil it. Ask down below if you do want to know. Just know their name is in the credits, by the way. So it's been a long ride, definitely let me know. Is Mushoku Tensei your anime of the year? What did you love? What did you not like so much? I'm betting Rudy's gonna come up in that. So let me go ahead and be brutally honest. I can't help but wonder, did I ruin the anime for myself? A large reason for that is due to me spending one day out of each week making these videos. Perhaps for the worst, I'm now heavily aware about what's been removed in the anime version. The characters don't feel as complete. Hell, at times they feel like completely different characters, especially Rudy. This guy started off far worse in the light novel. I could actually see someone being cynical about it. Oh, that they made this cleaner version of Rudy for the Western audience. But Jerry, why do you hate this anime? Sure, I woke up at 5 AM for weeks, or even fell asleep on the floor working on videos for something I didn't like. Right. On a positive note, I do know that I'll enjoy the anime a lot more as time goes on. I just need a little time to separate the two a little bit, like for any light novel anime. If it says anything, where is Mushoku Season 2? Not soon enough. But don't worry, I will be covering Season 2 whenever it comes around. Thank you for watching weekly. Coming up, I will be covering Attack on Titan Season 4, Demon Slayer, and of course other anime like Isekai and fantasy from the seasonal season. So perfect timing, go ahead and check out my new video covering every Isekai anime in the next year. You got tons of sequels, maybe even for your favorite anime. Subscribe and ring the bell, and I'll see you guys later.